Welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast, where we sit down and have real conversations with business leaders that have been where you are. During these interviews, we'll dive into what it takes to improve systems and champion processes that maximize performance. Each week, our trailblazing guests share their experiences and understanding of the workforce to help inspire change, challenge our thinking, and share what it takes to successfully travel the road to profitability. Now here's our host, co-founder and chief evangelist of About Time and WorkMax, Mike Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Merrill, and today we are sitting down for an episode with Pfleger. Ann is a woman who wears many hats. She is the Estimating Safety and HR Administrator at the Charles Construction Services, the Pre-Qualification and Estimating Administrator at Hancock Structural Steel, and most importantly for the conversation today, the President of the National Association of Women in Construction. So there's 115 chapters in NAWIC, as it's pronounced, that offer education, support, networking, and also help in advancing the careers in construction for women. Also, it helps to build their technical skills and ultimately become leaders. So as president of NAWIC, Ann is an advocate for women in construction, and today she's going to share a little bit about what NAWIC does, and also how technology has opened new opportunities for women on the job site, and also how it's changed the culture for construction forever. And Ann, we're grateful to have you today and excited for the conversation.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So as the president of the National Association of Women in Construction, or NAWIC, you've been involved for about 15 years now. So what can you tell us about NAWIC and what you do there?
Well, NAWIC was actually started back in 1953 by some women in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas area, because they were the minority in the construction industry. So they got together and wanted to have a support system. Well, they quickly found out that there were other women across the country that also needed that support system. So in 1955, it became the National Association of Women in Construction. And for 66 years now, we have been strengthening and amplifying the success of women in the industry. What is really neat about this association is that construction encompasses pretty much everything that you touch. So a NAWIC member could be work for a general contractor, they could be a tradeswoman, an architect, an engineer, a lawyer, a trucking company that hauls building materials. The list is just endless, which really makes NAWIC stand out because I don't know of any other association that encompasses so many different job careers.
That's awesome. So NAWIC recently has launched a new logo and tagline, Grow and Educate and Network. What can you tell us about that and why the changes?
Yeah, we last August we launched our new logo and tagline, Leading Builders, Building Leaders. Again, we're supporting women in the industry, and we have been able to, through certifications, through opportunities of being a leader within our local chapters and on the national board, we are developing those women leaders to make a difference and influence the construction industry.
So how many members does NAWIC have worldwide or nationwide, I should say?
Well, across the country, we have over 5,000 members. We have over 100 actually, we just chartered our last chapter a couple weekends ago, so we're up to 118 chapters now. We also have a chapter in Guam and in DC. We are also global. We have international affiliates in Canada, the United Kingdom, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and there are more out there that we're making connections with.
Wow, that's truly amazing. That's a great work you're doing all over the world, it sounds like at this point.
Yeah, one of our priorities is how amazing would it be for all of the women in construction across the globe to get together in one place, and technology is really what's going to help us do this, because before the pandemic, there wasn't as much virtual. It was kind of starting to come in with the ability to do Zoom and other platforms like that. But now that it's more acceptable, we're able to connect virtually with our international affiliates across the globe.
Wow, that's a real blessing that technology is allowing you to all come together in that way. So what are some of the top priorities of the association?
Well, we have a number of things that we're working on. Something this year that we started is we now have a standing diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, and we are trying to, make the construction industry just that: diverse, equitable, and inclusive of everyone, no matter what race, what culture, what disability, anything like that. We want everybody to feel included in everything. So that has been a big initiative for ourselves. We've also had a lot of companies reaching out to us to partner with us because they've heard of the things that we're doing, not only with DE&I, but we're also having those conversations about what women need in the construction industry. Yes, we are built differently than men, but we can work just as hard as what the men can do. We go through the same type of training, but there are differences that we need, and some of those are sanitation on the job site and proper fitting PPE. That's a big one. Actually, our annual conference is next week in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're actually going to have a women's PPE fashion show because there are now companies out there that are designing women's PPE. And some companies, that's all they're doing. They're not even doing any men PPE anymore. So we're very excited to be offering that to our members and making that be a highlight. So we're also working to, I mentioned about sanitation on the job site, and with the pandemic, we've been talking a long time about being able to work remotely and have a flexible schedule. But because of what happened with the pandemic, that has kind of pushed us forward to show the companies that we work for that we can be just as productive when we're working at home or even having a flexible schedule. It's not unusual now to sometimes see work emails coming through in the middle of the night because of the people having a flexible schedule. Maybe they needed to take off a little bit early to go to a child's soccer game or take them to a doctor's appointment, but it's becoming more acceptable. But one of our alliances with OSHA we've actually had for a number of years, but we're really starting to have those conversations about what regulations we need to be working on as a result of the pandemic that we've been talking about for a long time. So that's very exciting.
Oh, that's great. So are there some online resources or some links that you can share with the audience that they can learn more about NAWIC?
Yeah, our national website is www.nawic.org, and you can find out all the information. You can look for a local chapter in your area to get connected with them. Also, all of our social media links are there as well. And even if you're just interested in getting some more information, or if you're maybe a man, reach out to us because we want everybody. It's going to take everybody to make the construction industry more inclusive of everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we participate in a lot of events all around the country throughout the year. And of course, with the pandemic, things have been shut down quite a bit. But some of the live events we've been to recently, it's not uncommon to run into members of NAWIC and people that have literature or materials at their booth or exhibitions. So obviously the work that you're doing out there is being impactful and helping a lot of people to get the recognition and the opportunities that they deserve.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me this year as president is to see the difference that we are making. I mean, we've been around for 66 years, but when you actually start seeing people reaching out to us because they've heard about what we're doing, it really shows what all of the past members and national boards what they have done has really set us up for that. So to actually see it happening this year, especially with a pandemic going on, was just amazing for me.
I love that. I know I was reading up and doing a little research, and I know that somewhere I read 44 out of the top 100 construction firms have women in executive positions. So that was really cool to learn.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. You still hear a lot of people saying that women work in a male-dominated industry. I don't like to say that anymore. Yes, we're working in a male-populated because we still only encompass about 10%. But we are seeing more women, like you mentioned, in executive positions, influencing the direction. You're seeing more women on the job site with boots on the ground, actually building these buildings or roads or any types of construction projects. So yeah, it's male populated now. It's not male dominated.
Oh, I love that term. That's great. What we had a guest on not so long ago, Letitia Henke, and she has an organization called the Lyme Foundation, and they do a lot of construction trades training for people coming out of high school, and she owns a roofing company and has been awarded all kinds of things for her leadership and recognition in that, and that was really exciting for us to learn about her story and to hear that there's more of that going on out there than maybe hits the press a lot of times.
Yeah, and I really think that that's just a sign to us that yeah, it may be male populated, but I think we're really going to see a push of more women coming into the industry in the next few years for a number of reasons. For the main reason of I mentioned, people are seeing more women in the industry actually working. They're hearing us talk, and then also too, with the pandemic, construction remained an essential industry. So for the majority, we kept working throughout the whole pandemic, which for the younger generation is a good thing to consider when you're choosing what career you want to do. That hey, even during a pandemic, construction was still going on.
Yeah, it was deemed quote unquote essential by most government affiliations around the country. So, like you mentioned, construction touches every aspect of our lives. If you live somewhere, if you work somewhere, if you drive somewhere, I mean, everything that we do has an impact from construction on it. So, are there some other statistics that come to mind for you that are interesting that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, there is. Construction actually is one of the highest equitable pay. So when you're comparing what a man makes to what a woman, we make about 96 cents to every dollar that a man makes, which of course we would all want it to be even dollar for dollar, but construction does have one of the highest for women working in any type of industry. So that again is another benefit to the younger generation to let them know that we're a lot closer than some industries.
Well, and another reason why more women should look to get involved.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something else that if women are looking to get into construction, they really should, look at all the different opportunities because you can, work as a tradeswoman or talking technology. Something that's really been coming to the forefront is drones, and that technology that we have to do a number of different things. And that may be a whole different podcast that we want to talk about that, but they also want to find a mentor to help them really see what their interest is, and then once they decide which way they want to go, continue having that mentor throughout their career. I mean, I've been in the construction and trucking industries for, gosh, I hate to say it, 28 years now, and I still have mentors because they can help you out in different parts of your career. So you can have multiple, and I've had men mentors as well. So I know that the men can be our biggest ally with the things that we're working on in the construction industry, and they do want to help out.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's key in even in any pursuit, whether it's a hobby or a passion, or whether you're trying to learn something, whether it's a professor at a university or a religious leader. I mean, we all need mentors in life, and I think that's fantastic that you brought that up about the mentors in the workplace that you've been able to tap into throughout your career. So I read another statistic that said that there was a 68% increase in women-owned construction firms between 2014 and 2019. So that is huge. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think that has to do with a lot of the initiatives by the government to have more diverse projects, have more companies that are women owned, minority, disability, things of that sort, to make sure a certain percentage of a construction project has that type of company on there. I think that really has helped, which is really a great way for women to start out their company and get moving. Now there's, with every kind of startup company, there's still a lot of education and things that you need to do, but that opportunity is really helping increase the number of women-owned businesses in the industry.
Yeah, I know. I know we've talked about ownership, women in those positions, also executive positions. What can you tell us about women that are actually working out in the field? Is there an uptick there? Is there a change? What's going on there?
Well, there's not much of a change in the tradeswomen working out in the field. And that's one of the things you had mentioned earlier about things that NAWIC is working on. Um, they the conditions on job sites are still a very hot topic, and we need to really be having a conversation and getting some regulations put in place. Because when women are on a job site, they are there for a reason. They have a skill. A lot of them go through apprenticeship programs just like their male counterparts. So they have all the exact training. And the things that are still happening on some of the job sites with bullying and not wanting to support and teach the women tradeswomen. I mean, have you ever never asked a question or needed to learn how to do something? We all do. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. If you're new on a job, you need to find out, certain ways this company does this process, or, how you do that. We all have those questions. So we just need to get away from that stigma of, oh, she's just a woman, she can't do this job, I'm not going to help her at all. So there is still a lot of that. Now, with saying that, the thing about it is that more women are finding the courage to stand up and talk about this and try and get this fixed. And that's one way. NAWIC is a support network of women in the industry. And yes, I personally work in the office, but I can definitely be a voice for those tradeswomen when we're at the table negotiating general conditions on the job site to make sure that there's something as simple as having separate porta johns or hand washing stations. That's something that's been huge with the pandemic. We've really had to increase the sanitation on job sites. So even though I'm not a tradeswoman, I can still be a voice to help them, get what they need. But the courage that those women have to step up and talk about it and ask for change, I think that that's amazing. So in the next few years, I do see that changing, and I think we will have more women coming into the trades. It's a great career for earning an amazing salary. They really do make a good money when you go through your apprenticeship program and become a journeywoman. So a lot of the younger generation, especially single moms, this is a great way to be able to support their family.
Yeah, I love that. And I think like you mentioned, we can all do a part to help encourage and foster those opportunities for women that have an interest or that maybe are curious a little bit. And I think that's a spark that can grow into a flame that can really grow into something substantial that could really change the way that we're approaching this industry. And I think to your point, I think those women that have been bold enough to step up and to work through those challenges obviously are pioneers and trailblazers, and we need to work on building that path and making it more comfortable for more to join.
Yes, definitely.
And we've talked a lot on this podcast about the shortage of skilled labor and people in the trades, and I think there are women out there that can help meet those needs and make more money and have a opportunity to contribute more to their household income by doing these sorts of things. And so I'm excited to see that some of these changes are starting to take hold, and I hope that they continue forward. And I know that NAWIC has been and will continue to be a big part of that change.
Yeah, we definitely will. We're planning on being here for another 66 plus years to help out with the industry.
I love that. So what about technology? Is that helping make this transition easier? Are there some things that are improved because of that? And maybe what are some of those, if there are?
Yeah, actually there are. I mentioned earlier about working remotely or flexible schedules. So technology has really helped to do that because people can be working from home but still be able to connect to all their files and the server that, as if they were sitting at their desk in the office. So we've had that kind of for many, many years, but I really think that it's been utilized more by companies. And then seeing, that their workers, even when they were working remotely, were just as productive or even more productive when they were doing that. I know personally myself, I worked from home while we had the country shut down, but then towards the beginning of May of 2020, I came back to work, and actually I thought I was more productive at home because I had less interruptions. Because as you when you read my bio, I always laugh when people read my bio and thinking, wow, that is a lot of stuff to do. But when you're working in safety and HR and IT, I mean, you get interrupted throughout the whole day. So yeah, I definitely was more productive. But having that technology, being able to have meetings using Zoom or whatever other platform, bringing companies together on projects, all of the general contractor, subs, suppliers, even the owners. You can get everybody on the Zoom and have a conversation about what's going on in the project and you're saving travel time. You got to think the amount of times you travel to a job site for a meeting to get together. Well, now you can be doing it from your office and still have the same outcome.
Yeah, I love that. I know I was at a user conference for one of the accounting construction ERPs a couple of years ago, and one of the speakers and keynotes was a woman dump truck driver, and she was fantastic at her job. Had received all kinds of recognition and awards, and was really just an all-star among her peers in that role. And I think there's all types of jobs like that women could certainly do. But when we talk about technology, are there innovations that have created new opportunities that maybe didn't exist before that women could excel at?
I mentioned the drones. That is becoming very prevalent for a number of different reasons. Um, they're used for flying around the job site just to take a look, see how progress is going. A lot of times banks now are requiring some sort of pictures or something to show how much has been complete before they actually release funds. So a drone is able to go and take the appropriate pictures. It's also improved our safety, because if there is a dangerous or a really high area that normally a person would go to, the drones can take care of that. They can fly wherever it needs to be to take a real good look and see if something does in fact need to be fixed, or if something else needs to be done, rather than just sending somebody up, which maybe they only have to go up once just to fix it instead of up to check it out and then again to actually fix it. So that's one of the things that drones. And a lot of our younger generation are really into video games, so flying drones fits for both women and men in that aspect of it. The other thing that's really good for women is there are safety, skeletons that you can have that will help you, and men use this as well, but they can help when you're lifting things and moving things to give you that little bit of extra to do it safely. I mean, we all want to be able to show that, I can lift this up, no problem. But, construction can be hard on your body. So technology and the things that are coming out now, I think is going to provide the opportunity for everyone who's working on the job sites to have a longer life working on the job sites and not tear up their body so much with the technology that's coming out with safety gear.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because again, safety is a key piece to every project, or should be. And so I like that people are innovating and developing tools and things to help offset some of those challenges that maybe somebody has a smaller frame or doesn't have huge biceps can still participate in those physical activities and help progress the project. So generally, are you seeing much of a change in culture on construction sites as it relates to women? I mean, are you feeling like things are moving in the right direction?
Yes, but slowly. But the good thing about this is that owners of companies, and most of them are men, are coming and asking, what can we do to help advance, women's success in the industry. And I think it's great that they're just even asking the question. That is a sign that we're moving in the right direction. And what I like to tell them is just sit down and have a conversation with them. Come out to the job site. Now, if you come out to the job site, you want to make sure that you're talking to everybody on the job site, not just the women. You should be anyways, getting those are the people that are working every day on the projects. They know best what they need to be successful, to help move the project a little quicker, or help for safety reasons. So I always tell the owners it's important for you to visit your job sites and really ask and talk to all the people on the job site. For those that are in the office, I know my boss, he typically does this almost every day. Usually in the morning, he'll come in, a cup of coffee, and he'll ask how things are going. Is there anything I need? And that time we get to talk a little bit if there's any ideas that I want to present. So I think just owners and supervisors just initiating the conversation, I really think makes those women that maybe aren't sure about how they should be asking for something. It gives them that opportunity to talk. So I think that is the key to really hearing what we need in the industry and what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know there must be, again, young women out there who are interested or have at least curiosity, if nothing more. What would you suggest that a young woman that has interest do to learn how to obtain these skills to enter the workforce in the construction industry?
Well, definitely I would tell them first to go to NAWIC.org and learn a little bit more about NAWIC. And like I said, we have chapters all across the country, so they could connect with maybe their local chapter. We even do have student memberships as well, so that's something that they could look into and really get to know like what area they're focused on. Try and find somebody that's in a similar type of job so they can talk to them about what schooling they did or how they're how they went about getting to where they are today. So I think that is very important. If they don't have a local NAWIC chapter, I mean, I know that any woman in construction is always happy to talk about working in construction, because the satisfaction that we have working in this industry. I mean, when you're driving down the road, and my son hates it when I do this, but when you're driving down the road and I point to a building, I said, I had a part of that, and thinking that building is going to be there way longer than what I will be on this earth. It's just gives me chills even thinking about it. So I know that women would talk to other women, whether they're in NAWIC or not, because of our passion for construction.
Yeah, I love that. My background is in construction as well. I was a general contractor and ran trades crews before I helped start this software company 18 years ago. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. Many times I've driven my family or my kids past a project that we completed or a home that we built. And yeah, it's very satisfying and fulfilling to see the work that you did. And I love the fact that there are women out there that can drive by and do the exact same thing. Say, I took part in that project. So what, more on a personal level, is there one thing personally or professionally, kind of a challenge that you work through and feel like you learned from that you could share with others to encourage them to fight through those difficulties?
That's a great question. For me personally, I've been on the NAWIC National Board since 2014. You move up the ranks to become president. And one of the things for me is just having the support of fellow NAWIC members across the country. I know that if I need anything, whether it be professionally or personally, I can call on them. I actually had a situation with my son who was traveling he came from boot camp as a Marine and was traveling back to do some additional training. And he and some of his other friends who were also going to the same training got stuck in Charlotte, North Carolina because it snowed. So if it snows in Charlotte, North Carolina, everything shuts down. But what I didn't know until then is that in the military, when you start a mode of transportation, you have to finish it. So they couldn't rent a car, they couldn't go on a bus, they couldn't do any of that. And that weekend was a basketball tournament. We did not have any hotels left. So I called one of my fellow NAWIC members, told them about the situation, and she found a place for every one of those men and women to stay until they could get out on the flight. I mean, again, not too many associations that I know that would do something like that for you. So that alone, it was just amazing. But for me, it has also given me the opportunity to learn how to have these difficult conversations. We've kind of already talked about it, about what women need in the industry to succeed. And that I can have those conversations and be a voice for those people that maybe don't have that confidence to have that conversation and talk about it. So those are the things that I've gotten personally out of being not only a NAWIC member, but on the national board.
Wow, what a blessing and what a wonderful tribute to the membership, the sisterhood that exists there, and the connectivity that you have each other's backs. So, Anne, is there a superpower that you possess when you put your cape on? what are you getting ready to go do?
Oh, a superpower. Well, I think my superpower is everybody wants to have a purpose in their life, and I didn't find mine till a few years ago. My superpower is to be able to support women to be and do whatever they want. This year as president, I have done everything I could for any member that wanted it. I would make the time for them and help them in any way that they can. And that really is, I believe, a superpower. Not many people can do that. I know we all have very, very busy lives now, but for me, it was a priority to do that. And by doing that, my hope is that those women will then pass it down to the next generation and so on.
Wow, I love that. That's that is a superpower, I would say, for sure. So last thing, is there one takeaway that you would like to share with the listeners today from this episode and discussion?
Yeah, the one thing I would like to mention is that whatever you set your mind to do, you can do it. You can be and do whatever you want to in this life. Just remember that there are others here to support you along the way.
Wow, that's great. Very profound. Well, thank you so much for the conversation today, Anne. I really enjoyed getting to know you more and learning about NAWIC, and it's exciting to have a new friend in the industry.
Yes, definitely. It was great to hear that you were previously a general contractor, and thanks for having me. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to the guests for listening today. If you enjoyed the conversation that Anne and I had today or learned anything new or insightful, we invite you to please give us a rating and a review and share this episode with your friends and colleagues. And most especially, if you have any interest in NAWIC personally, if you are a woman in construction, or if you work with women in construction, we encourage you to plug into NAWIC and help get those around you involved and see the goodness that they have to share with our industry. Of course, we want to not only help improve individuals' business and success there, but also their life.